Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to do a collection update tour video for the first half of 2025. I've never done a mid-year one before, but I was thinking it'd be kind of nice to be able to look back and see how I update and change my collections throughout the year. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to do a mid-year one for my own personal benefit, and at the end of this I thought I would note my top 10 figures for 2025 so far. Again, I've not done a top 10 for mid-year. I've only ever done one top 10 before, and that was the beginning of this year. Again, I quite like the idea of being able to look back and go, oh, those were my top 10 in the middle of the year, but actually they're now X, Y, and Z. So that's the reason for those. But here we have my wife's Funko Pop collection for Ghostbusters, Mini Puffs, and Groot. Can't see them here, but there are all of the other Groots behind. I think she has all of the Groots and pretty much all of the Ghostbuster Mini Puffs as well. It's just so many that you can't see them all. Moving down, we have my Thunderbird models along with the Matchbox and Imagine toys. Some Turtle Mini Pops. Has anyone seen the Silver Layer play set we're getting for these? I think that looks absolutely fantastic. Moving down, some Warhammer and some other random figures, some Star Trek and the Thunderbird models, and then just some books. On the window ledge, I've got a couple of statues. Yet more Funko and Groot stuff at the top of our mirror for my wife. My son's room and his collection. He is absolutely obsessed with Destiny these days. So you can see all of his various Destiny bits there. What he keeps on his window ledge. And then his main collection display, which is a series of various bits, primarily Funko. Some Power Rangers stuff. He loves Squirtle, so this is a shelf dedicated to Squirtle. This I made for him for his birthday, which I'm actually really impressed with how it came out, given it was the first time I was really using resin. I think it looks great. Moving down, some Destiny stuff. I recently did a display base for his Destiny figures. To be honest, it was a failed experiment and something else I was working on, and I just had the stuff left over, so I thought I would change it into something that he could use. Some Destiny pops, bits, his Moonlight stuff, his jumble of Marvel Legends for some reason, and then some other bits and pieces. So that's my son's collection. Moving downstairs and into the heart of the collection, we have the office. So here we have some of the Transformer Titan figures. Ended up putting up one of those Dalek plates on display. Some Blu-rays and 4Ks and bits and pieces. I'd say about 99.9% of my physical media collection's all in binders, just because I don't have the space for displaying these. So it's just key ones which I want to keep the cases for, so like Doctor Who, the Gamora collection even. Coming around, we've got some of the games. Part of the Dalek head there. On top of the main shelf, we have NECA alien figures. We have part of that Dalek model. The primes from the new Transformers Age of the Prime series. Moving down, we've got the Transformers shelves. Loads of different Transformers throughout. I absolutely love that Skybite figure. I think it's truly fantastic. Recent edition, I quite like the figure. Megatron. Interestingly, I have never transformed this Megatron at all. It's the concept art Megatron Studio Series for Bumblebee. I've had it for since it came out, so what, a year or so. I've taken it out of the box, I've played with it. It's a nice looking figure, I really like it. For some reason I've never actually sat and transformed it, but so yeah, there we have that. So one of the big changes on these shelves is at the beginning of the year I had out my Mutant Mayhem Turtle figures. They've since gone into storage just because so many other bits are now starting to take up the displays. Down here we have some of the Marvel graphic novels, annuals and some binders, nothing overly special there. Moving along, at the top shelf up here we have some of the Eaglemoss Star Trek ships, which I've collected over the years, and then my various Star Trek models. I'm still so proud of this one. I absolutely love it, the way it came out. I think it was near perfect. Moving down, primarily this is the NECA TMNT figures I have. For some reason Mikey keeps falling over. He will not stand. There we go. I absolutely love these Last Ronin figures. I think they look fantastic. Real sort of change up from the usual Turtles styles, but they all look really, really great and have their own feel and appearance to them. Whereas, you know, as great as these figures are, bar the colours, they're all essentially the exact same figure. Biker Mice from Nacelle. I've had those figures, what, nearly a year now, if not a year, and I still love those. I still think they are truly fantastic figures. They are brilliant. They really, really are. To the point I have two of them. Two of each. Those ones standing, and then you'll see I have ones riding on the bikes as well. Final shelf is the newest one, which has got the Jurassic Park stuff. I've recently got into collecting in like the last week or so. You might have seen some of the videos I've done on these. I'm really liking this toy line and the dinos within it. I think Mattel have done a really good job on them. They make nice display pieces as well as being great kids' toys. Some of the Gundam models I've got, you might have seen I've still got a few left that I haven't even touched yet. Just because I've had loads of other projects I've been working on the past several months. Most recently being that display base for the Destiny figures as showed earlier on. Moving down, binder for the Dalek part work, Stingray comic anthologies, and the big Power Ranger books for the Megazord build from Fan Home. A few of the pops I actually have out on display. Some more dinos. These dinos were £2 from Entertainer, and I literally just went re-customized them, painted them in my own colours, and I'm really quite happy with how they came out. I personally really love the Schleich dinosaur figures. I think they look fantastic. Such vibrant colours, really great detail to them. However, I refuse to pay 20 quid for a statue like that, which just stands. So instead, I bought one of those really cheap 2 quid figures from Entertainer and just painted it. And I'm really happy with how the paint apps have come out on that. The Triceratops is interesting. I wanted to do a coloured frill, you know, sort of maybe like a mating ritual or something like that. And originally I did it in 3 colours with various shades of green and blue, and I absolutely hated how it came out. I despised it to the point that I was going to completely paint over it and do it in some oranges and reds instead, to maybe give the feel of blood pumping into the frills to ward off predators. And I was trying to clean off the colours I had, and then I was running a white over them to try and get this covered up before I moved and repainted it. Somehow all of the colours blended together and ended up like that, and I was quite impressed with how that turned out, so I thought, you know what, I'm keeping it. So that frill, how it looks, is actually purely accidental, but I was quite impressed with how it turned out in the end. Some more pops. Canvas I have signed by Patrick Stewart. Then up on the wall I have that banner from the Assassin's Creed Shadow game. So there we have the office. We'll move into the living room. And here we have the office, the living room, which is the main displays for the collection. You can see we've got the Captain America, Iron Man, Civil War canvas up on display. We've got the Fan Home Megazord. I finally found a place for it and I'm really quite happy with where it is. I still absolutely love that. You can't call it a figure. It's more than a figure. That's for certain. It's a piece of art essentially. That came out fantastically despite all the problems I had during building with it, and I'm really happy with it. I love it. I will say that I wanted to, when I was considering what my top 10 figures for the first half of 2025 were, I really wanted to include this, but I just felt I couldn't. It's not, it feels really unfair to include that with a bunch of 20 or 30 quid figures. So that's something unto itself, really. But yeah, I am really happy with how it turned out. I'm so pleased. Love it. Moving down, we have Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering figures up on display. And then on the DVD or TV stand, we've got some pops and the home Galaxy's Edge lightsabers, consoles. Up on the window ledge, we have a couple more statues. There. But the main display is the back wall or side wall with all of the shelves on it. Biggest change for this is these top shelves obviously originally had figures on them, which was the Marvel Legends. Originally I thought it might be possible to get the Fan Home Megazord in here. I was incredibly stupid with that, and the idea was to clear these and have these as sort of a statue shelves. So that's what they've ended up being, and I'm quite happy with how that is. Whether they stay like that in the long term, I don't know. But moving on to the very top, we have collections of various figures and bits. So we've got those Zap Megazords in the background. We've got some Marvel Legends up at the front. The McFarlane Superman figure, which I think is a fantastic figure. It's one of no, it is the best McFarlane figure I have, DC or otherwise. It is just it's brilliant. I absolutely love that figure. I think it came out fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the film this weekend. We got a bunch of Daleks in the background there. The Sonic figures from Jazzwares, which are also for kids' toys. They are brilliant. I think they have such great articulation and detailing on them. They just look great on shelves. We have the Simpsons. Originally, I was just going to get the Core 5 family. Then my wife went and got me a couple of the other auxiliary characters. And now I think I have complete sets of Wave 1 and 2. And part of me was planning of just going in on them because they're great figures. But there are so many other lines I want to collect and things like that I just can't justify constantly buying all of those figures. So I think I'm kind of complete on where I am with the Simpsons characters. As much as I would love to collect a load of the others, there are other lines I want to collect and I just can't justify it enough. We then have the Godzilla figures. Are these Playmates? I can't remember who these are now. But for the most part, I really like these figures. It's been a while since I got another one just because there isn't anything new out that's of interest. I think I've got most of the releases that I'm interested in kind of tucked away there, but you can see we've got the Drowned Viper, which I think is my favourite of the Godzilla figures. It was just so well done, really a great piece. Couple of Megazords and Voltron in the background there, and then we have that Battle Attack Slime Kaiju from Superman. Another great toy, which I think is a lot of fun as a kid's toy rather than a collector's item, but I think it looks quite good on the shelf as well. Moving down, we have that display or statue shelves. So here we have that Assassin's Creed Shadows statue from the collector's set, which I think it looks lovely. It's a really nice piece. Originally this was on the window ledge because I had nowhere else for it, but when I cleared these shelves, that took center place immediately. My son, this is actually my son's, but he was clearing his room and he wanted it up in the loft. He's already got his Pikachu one up in the loft, and I asked if he would mind if I had it on display for a while because I think this Mewtwo just looks great for what it is, which is a sort of cheap kids statue. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. It's a really nice piece to add. It's very different to what I have, what else I have on display. So I thought it was a nice addition. But this remains firmly my son's, and when he wants it back, it will go up in his room. Then we have that Tread Speeder, which I customized from the Galaxies Adventure line. You might have seen the videos I did on this. I just fully customized it. I took the basic vehicle, which I think I got for like £5, painted it, customized it, glued it to this custom base. We got that Stingray piece I've been working on. Again, you might have seen the videos I did on this. I really want to cast this in resin, so it actually looks like they're underwater. Problem I'm having is coming up with a mold to actually hold this in for pouring the resin. I haven't been able to come up with something which is going to hold it properly. I really do need to get back to trying to find something for that. But it's kind of been on the back burner while I try and think of something that's going to work appropriately. Also, the other thing is, I will admit that I'm a little nervous about casting this in the resin. Besides that Squirtle I did for my son for his birthday, it's pretty much the first time I would have properly been using resin for molding, and I really don't want to mess it up because this is going to be a one-time project. If I mess it up, I can't exactly go back and redo it. So making sure I have that correct mold and that it's going to work is pretty much essential. So that's one of the reasons kind of been left on the back burner for now. I recently ordered some 3D printed figures off of eBay for the sharks and plesiosaur. They had to be glued together and things, but I painted them all, and I'm really happy with how these turned out. I really like them. They were a lot of fun to mess around with and do. I think that was just a little D&D figure I painted about a year or so ago. Next shelf, we have the Stormtrooper Advent Calendar, which you might have seen being assembled over the Christmas period. I think for it's not cheap, but for a Christmas Advent Calendar, it looks pretty decent and works as an all-round display piece. We have that Black Series Kylo Ren Rey standoff piece, which I think I got from Entertainer for like 25-40 quid a few years back. Somehow I was in there one day and they just had a couple of these which were previous San Diego Comic Con exclusives, and they just had them there, and they were just super cheap, to the point that, you know, you would have been stupid to pass it up. So it was an instant no-brainer that I had to grab that. And while this goes in and out of display quite regularly, it's always a piece I come back to as something I quite enjoy. And then we have the Luke Skywalker coming over the speeder, little Black Series statue. Optimus and Magnus from the Omega Prime HasLab. You might have seen the videos I did on these. Again, really like these figures. They look absolutely fantastic. And have taken a centerpiece display rather than actually being just plopped in with the other Transformer figures. Moving down, we have Marvel Legends. So something that's been a big focus for the first half of this year has definitely been Marvel Legends and Transformers. They have been the primary focus for the first half of this year. No particular reason, I just think Hasbro have been doing some really fantastic figures the past few months, so this has really sort of expanded out quite a bit. Here we have a mostly X-Men display, but we have a mostly built Watcher in the background. He's missing his legs, but because of the cape and things, it's not noticeable. I love that Cyclops. I think the 97 Cyclops is brilliant. Fantastic figure. Moving along, we have my Spider-Verse display. I found this guy for a tenner in a charity shop, and I am so happy to have him. I've been wanting a Man Spider forever, so having that in the collection is brilliant. The Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider Marvel Legends figure is one of my favourites. Not only do I love the character, but I think the figure they did there just came out perfectly. The custom symbiote takeover Spider-Man I did some months back. Quite happy with how that turned out. Makes a nice additional piece. Lizard, you might have seen the recent review video I did on that. Again, another figure I absolutely love. Brilliant. When I was doing the review, I was like, meh, he's okay. He's not a bad figure. As soon as I stopped rolling that camera and I got a chance to properly play with him, it was like, damn, this character's amazing. The toy's brilliant. I absolutely love it. And it's now taken a center place of display in my Marvel Legends setup. I just absolutely love that figure. Hasbro really did do an amazing job with it. Moving along is mostly sort of cosmic Marvel Legends figures. You can see we've got the Eternals here. I don't know why people hate these figures so much. I think they're brilliant. It's a shame they didn't do as well as they have done. I know, admittedly, even I got mine on clearance, but they're brilliant figures. They look fantastic. So they're always nice to have up on display. Scarlet Witch, various Marvel villains. So I watched Ironheart and I really enjoyed the series. And following the series, I wanted a Hood figure. This is the only Hood figure you can get, so I ordered this for 10 quid. It's awful. I knew the figure before I even ordered it was supposed to be a really bad figure, but this figure is just bad. Not for any particular reason, like a lack of articulation or anything like that, but the cape's too long, so you can't pose him at all. The gun blast effects don't really stick on the guns. That screaming expression is just kind of meh, but I wanted a Hood figure in lieu of a MCU one. I figured this would have to do. Hopefully we will get a Ironheart wave in the near future from Marvel Legends, and perhaps then we'll get a decent Hood. But for now, that is what it is. But that is probably the worst Marvel Legends figure I own. Moving down, we have a villains shelf. So all various villains there. That Scorpion figure remains one of my favourite Marvel Legends villains. I've got just a brilliant figure, so well done on Hasbro's part. And that's got to be about 4 or 5 years old now. So, moving along, we have what I primarily count as my Avengers teams. So we've got the various Iron Mans, Sentry, various Captain Americas. You can see the custom cap I did. The Secret Wars cap, which I think is brilliant. The Falcon from the recent film, another brilliant figure. Thor's. And then sort of street level, magic-esque heroes. Sort of. I mean, they're not 100% accurate display pieces. They just often end up being grouped as close together as sort of figures I feel fit a theme, or I like space to put them somewhere else. Moving down, we have a couple of TARDISes and the Holocron, which moves us nicely into the Black Series figures. I've picked up a few figures here and there over the last few months, but they haven't been a primary focus for me. I did get that Darkseid Ray, which I quite like. I think that's a nice figure. The articulation on her could have been a little better, or the hood on the head would have been nice if it was a cloth one to pull back, but it is what it is. You got that May figure, which I think is a brilliant figure. I really love that. Acolyte figures. I really enjoyed watching that series. I was very late to pick up watching it, but when I did it, I really did enjoy it. And it's a shame we're not getting a second season out of that. My various Doctor Who and Dalek figures, a lot of custom figure Daleks in this display setup. Have our Doctors here. Bikermice from Mars bikes, which brings us down to Mattel's Street Sharks. And then the Power Rangers Lightning Collection figures. To be honest, with this line dead and other things coming in and out of display, it wouldn't surprise me if these get put into storage before the end of the year, which is going to be a shame, as there are so many great figures here, but without more to add and other things coming in, these may end up going into storage before the year's out. So that will be interesting to see at the end of this year if I did end up putting them into storage or not. There we have the updated collection tour for 2025, or the first half of 2025. I also wanted to point out the top 10 figures I've got them for 2025. Because my primary focus has been Marvel Legends and Transformers a lot of, it was very hard to narrow down to one figure from each line, which I tried to do at the year mark, or the beginning of my top 10 for 24 figures. So that wasn't a stipulation in me looking and deciding what my top 10 were. My only stipulation was that as much as I wanted to, I could not include that Megazord. The figure had to have been, or I had to have bought the figure / have it delivered in 2025. Regardless of whether it's an older figure and it's been released, 23, 24. So hypothetically, because I got that last week, the hood could have been it. And with that said, I feel I need to have had the figures more than a week or a couple of weeks. So it's nothing too new in here, because I could end up throwing out, or naming half a dozen figures which I've gotten in the past few weeks, which are amazing figures, and it'd be very hard for me to say, do I love that figure because it's new, and I'm still, in that honeymoon phase with the figure, or is it because it's a generally great figure? So those are my only stipulations, but otherwise I had no real restrictions on what my top 10 are. And this is going to be in no particular order either as well. I'm just going to point out the top 10 figures as we look through it. So the first one on this list is going to be the Drown Viper from the Godzilla Monsterverse line. This figure just looks brilliant. It came out amazingly well. It has some really great articulation in it. The paint apps look stunning. As a kid's toy piece, it has a real presence on the shelf. And it definitely deserves a spot in the top 10 figures for this year. Also on this shelf, as another top 10 figure for this year, is the Kaiju Battle Pack, which came with our 6-inch Superman figure. Superman figures, just a kid's toy. It's nothing particularly special, but that and this Kaiju with the play features is so much fun. It's a brilliant piece. I think kids will get a real kick out of playing with this. And it, you look at it and it's a kid's toy and you go, how do you compare that with, a 300-pound HasLab or whatever? And you can't. But this is a kid's toy, and as a kid's toy, it was so much, or it is, it's so much fun. The Kaiju's brilliant. I love it. So that's why it's there in the top 10 spot for me. Also up on the top shelf for the top 10 spot is that McFarlane Superman. I love that figure. It's the deluxe one with Krypto, the wired cloth cape. Krypto looks like a brilliant little figure. The Superman himself, he didn't have a flight stand, which is my biggest disappointment with this. He didn't have a flight stand. I had to steal it from one of my others. But it's a brilliant likeness, really well done. The colours pop. That wired cape is just wow. Yeah, that's how you do a figure. And I know McFarlane are obviously losing the license, and I know there's other figures out there which are just like, what are they doing? But yeah, that was definitely a brilliant figure. It's the best McFarlane figure I have, hands down. So that gets another one of his top 10 spots. Moving down is the Transformers HasLab Omega Prime. Obviously, I paid for this and went in on it last year, but it was only just delivered this year, so it counts. My list, my rules. But again, this is the first HasLab I've ever done, and I'm really, really pleased with this. The two figures came out great. They have some wonderful articulation to them. Some nice little play features. Loads of different alt modes. Nice, smooth transformation. Tight joints. It's everything you would have wanted from a HasLab project. I know that Ultra Magnus looks a little weird and kind of just, spacey and odd. And Optimus in his base mode's kind of a little blocky. But overall, they do look like great figures. They pose well. And they, looking here on the shelf, they make a really nice center display. I had my list and I can't think what else was on it. Marvel Legends wise, so many great figures this year. It's been hard to narrow down to just a couple, but Lizard is one of them. I love that figure. It just came out amazingly well. Really, really happy with that. I want to include Venom on this list, but he is so new that I feel I need to leave it. Otherwise, he would take a spot instantly. You can see the height difference in the figure here, and the detailing on him. This is what Venom should be. Big hulking monster of a creature. That looks, like a living symbiote organism. It's just amazing, but it's too new a figure for me to properly count. But as I said, the Lizard definitely takes the top spot for me, as does the Secret Wars Cap. I really love how this figure came out. I think he looks brilliant. I love the plates, the scales on his suit. The battle damage shield, that sort of angry expression, but he also has a smiling face, which is obviously quite Cap-esque. So this is a really great figure. My only wish is if we could have had a undamaged shield with him as well, but that was probably asking too much. As with the Falcon Cap, I think that's another brilliant figure that came out so well, and it was so much better than I was expecting it to be. That has taken a top spot for me. Number 8 on the spot is that May from the Acolyte. I think it's a really great looking figure. Hasbro did a really amazing job on it. The way she can hold the throwing knives is brilliant. The detailing was wonderful. The cloth goods work really, really well. And I'm often against cloth goods. I tend to find that they, fall flat. They fail to fit properly. They look odd. They stand out. A good example of that is that Luke in the background there. That cloth goods just look meh. But that one really works. And that essentially goes for the entire Acolyte line. Is those figures just came out really, really well. Some really great cloth goods. Not so much figures as vehicles, but those Biker Mice from Mars bikes, and I'm going to count it, but those figures as well. They take a top spot. I love the bikes. If you saw my video on them, they look amazing. They have light up headlights. The mice fit on them really, really well. Such great detailing to them. They have the smoke exhausts to give them a stand. The mice themselves are brilliant figures. The mice, it looks like Nacelle have redone the mice slightly between their initial release and re-releasing them. So they're the exact same figures, but the joints are a little bit tighter on the newer ones. The heads have slightly different sockets, so they fit tighter and overall are just a better fit of figures. So I'm counting them together. I'm not counting the mice separately. I am counting them together, but the mice and the bikes are brilliant, and they're a definite top spot for me. And then last but certainly no means least, my number 10 spot is going to go to Skybite. I love this Transformer. I know he's a recent addition, and maybe I shouldn't be counting him because he's still such a recent addition, but he is brilliant. Absolutely perfect. The character in Robots in Disguise is probably one of my favourites. And the figure just came out superbly well. He has a wonderful transformation, some great articulation. The head in the shark mode moves. Overall, I could not have asked for a better figure, especially at that price point. Again, I wanted to include some of the dinosaurs from the Jurassic World Parks line. However, they're so new to the collections, I generally felt I couldn't add them into consideration. So they might come up on my year-end spots. I also want to give a couple of shout-outs to some other really great figures. This year is the Red Alert, the Armada Sideswipe, this Grimlock, and loads and loads of Marvel Legends figures as well. There have been some fantastic figures overall in this year, and there are so many I could easily consider for top 10 spots, but the ones I've picked out are definitely the creme de la creme of my collection at the moment. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, stay safe. And remember, freedom is the right of all sentient beings.